Well, it started in 1991 due to a back injury that propelled me into it because the medical system was failing at healing the injury. So I finally figured out that I could do it on my own. And through a process of years and trial and error with certain alternatives, I found that it would heal. All right, so once again, back in 91, when there was the injury, I found that going through workers' compensation, going through the medical channels that we have, they weren't efficient enough for the result that they told me would be for my back injury. It would be sometime within an 18-year period, which would be right now, I would have my lower spine fused. Well, that wasn't a good answer to me. So that's what propelled me into researching energy healing, meditation especially. And as I meditated, I figured out that I really didn't have to do much. I just had to sit and listen and be as quiet and still as possible. And all of a sudden I could sense certain energies going through my body that would give me changes I wasn't expecting. The changes being, all of a sudden I don't have that back pain anymore. And the more and more I allowed for that space to occur, the more and more it got stronger and stronger and stronger. And through the years, I've met a bunch of energy healers. One from Toronto was Chris Slaughter, who was well known throughout the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And he was one of the gentlemen that really taught me a lot about link, don't think, he always used to say. So as you link, you're taking out 80% of the thought because the thought will slow you down. Thinking in this business is overrated, very overrated. So another teacher told me, and actually I was talking to him, and I said, well then what we're really linking into is the gift of our own presence. So we're just unwrapping our true selves, and that's just illuminating what has always been there. The great mystics thousands of years ago talked about it, all the philosophers, all that stuff. So now it's being proven because now quantum mechanics and also medical research is understanding some of the energy systems, meridians, chakras, chi, all that stuff. Yeah, they already did. It's just Western is a little bit stubborn because they want to prove it first. And proving takes longer. That's why thinking is overrated. When Nadine and I met, we talked for about, 40 minutes or so, and then she gave me a session. And it was very impactful because that night I went out to dinner with friends, and I kept getting that for some reason I had to be alone. I couldn't stay for dinner, even though I just drove an hour and a half to meet my friends for dinner. So as the night went on, I kept repeating to my friends, look guys, I gotta go. We gotta finish this dinner, I gotta go. And the rest of that evening was about, I was up till about 3:30 in the morning, and then I woke up at 6 in the morning. And it was just an unbelievable experience because I had all the energy that I could ever imagine having and no discomfort and just a lot of curiosity about what occurred during the session and what was occurring for at least a 24-hour period after that. What I believed happened was just a pure opening, a pure awareness that occurred so that there wasn't any thinking that needed to be required. It was just that the thoughts were there. And all of a sudden it was almost like someone stitching them together for me to find my answers. Literally the energy would lead me to whatever question I needed an answer for. And it was just instantaneous. And it stayed that way. Since that first experience almost 2 years ago, Nadine and I have become really good friends. And the discussions just keep getting, I would say, from a person that is not aware of energy healing at all, totally strange. But for Nadine and I, they're perfectly sensible because they're not just allowing for the reality we call being human, being in this planet, being in this existence. It's also starting to collaborate with what quantum mechanics has, which is there's various realities. There's various ways to move through the world. And energy is probably the purest and simplest form to move things. So if you want to influence somebody for their betterment, you easily can. One of the things that happened as Nadine and I were talking is we realized that we were almost in synchronicity with each other. Even though I live down in Buffalo, New York, and she lives up here in Hamilton, there were moments where we could easily tell that for whatever reason, we just crossed paths in energy and thought. And that's really where the future of the human race is going. It's no longer going to need thought. It's no longer going to need the vocal words. It's just going to be almost as if it's natural, but as in a nature type of thing. We're totally, right now, our human race is getting back to where we were. And that's just being truly ourselves. We don't have to move outside ourselves as we've been taught. You know, you have your own pharmaceutical plan inside you. You just don't have the manual to run it. The one thing that Nadine helps with is finding where those manuals are and turning to the correct page for the ailment and the disease. Many times when you get into something new like this, you find some teachers that always talk above you or always think that you're with them in the conversation. One of the beautiful things that Nadine does is she sort of finds where the person is and stays with them. She won't use words that are outside their awareness. She won't stand on top as if she's on a teaching platform and they're just the students. She's a student, you're a student, and it's always on a level playing field, which really helps. One time Nadine had asked me to come along to assist on a healing session over in Pearson, Ontario, where she was teaching. And what was wonderful to view is Nadine, as she was teaching, she was also able to pick up on everybody's energy. There was about 20 of us there. And all of a sudden, Nadine would sense something with a person maybe being overwhelmed, getting a headache, and she would move the energy to that person, and the person would acknowledge, yeah, the headache's gone. So on a multi-level awareness, what was fascinating is she was able to keep the teaching plain and simple, but everybody was on the same level, even though you could tell some people were brand new to the teachings, other people, you know, had been in it for 10, 12 years. And so it brought a beautiful warmth and a beautiful comfort to the teaching. One of the things that you do become aware of, and you don't have to be learned in this stuff, is you can pick up on very sincere, very kind, caring, loving energies. And Nadine is definitely all of those. So if I was to be, say, at a Starbucks, having a coffee, it would be easy to be drawn towards her and want to walk over and introduce yourself, because that's the type of open heart she has.